You know, this fight has never been about black or white. This fight has never been about slave and master. This fight has never been about God and the devil. This fight has always been about information. Seeing how that's what all these battles have been about, is information. See, with information, I can control your whole existence. I can control your soul. I can control your family. I can control your well-being. I can control your money. I can control your future generations, even if they're not even here. I can control everything, as long as I have your mind. That is the end result to any slavery on earth, even if you're enchained. If I have your mind, you're not going to try to escape. Get what I'm saying? So this whole thing has always been about controlling your mind, controlling the narrative. What you hear is what you will think. That will be the result of everything. So instead of us going with the narrative that we have today, let us listen to someone in the time of the past who had no agenda, who had no reason to lie. They would just tell it how it is, because none of this stuff was around. There's no Dr. Benz, there's no Nubians, there's no Francis Cress Welsings, there's no Pan-Africans, there's none of this. None of it existed. What happened in the 60s? And after we hear this, how can we argue where we're from anymore? Let's check this out. Let's listen to Ali Muhammad. Let's listen to what he had to say.
And this is Bill Money signing off for Dirty Laundry Media, and I'll see you on the other side.
We couldn't eat in the restaurants in Louisville. We couldn't eat downtown. One day I saw two Africans go in with their ropes and their turbans. They couldn't speak English. I heard the man say, "Let them in, they're not Negros." I said, something's wrong. I can't say it. We couldn't eat in the restaurants in Louisville. We couldn't eat downtown. One day I saw two Africans go in with their ropes and their turbans. They couldn't speak English. I heard the man say, "Let them in, they're not Negros." I said, something's wrong. I can't say it's because I'm black, because they're so black and they're blue, but they went in. So I said, well, I get an Olympic gold medal, then I'll go in. I went and got my gold medal, went back in, ordered 2 cheeseburgers, and they said, sorry, we don't serve Negroes. I said, I don't eat them either, just give me 2 cheeseburgers. And she said, you getting smart Negroes? I said, some they couldn't speak. One day I saw 2 Africans go in with their ropes and their turbans. They couldn't speak English. I heard the man say, let them in, they're not Negroes. I said,
let them in, they're not Negroes. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense, because that's the whole argument. The whole argument is Negroes are from Africa. But a famous man named Muhammad Ali, who has no reason to lie, because he's claiming that he knows his history and he's from Africa and all this different stuff. For him to see 2 Africans dressed up, not speaking English, allowed into an establishment that is white only, he said they wouldn't allow him in. He went home and got his Olympic gold medal, and they still refused him service. But he told us point blank that the guys that they let in were 2 Africans. and he heard the man say, they can come in, they're not Negroes. There's supposedly a part in the Bible that says, you know, Ham is the creator of all the dark-skinned race except the Negro. Nobody in today's time is going to say that a Shemite is a Negro. They're not going to say that. Negro del Terra, El Negro, let them in. They're not Negroes. Negro for sale. It's like, to me, it's like there's a block. There's a block in the way of how people are thinking because of the spell that took place. The spell is, if you're dark-skinned, you're from Africa. That's the spell. But Muhammad Ali is not allowed into an establishment because he is a Negro. 2 Africans are allowed in because they are not Negroes. But supposedly, Negroes are dark-skinned people from Africa. See, it gets scary when you realize the European and the conquistadors are both Europeans. This is why it goes Mongoloid, Caucasoid, Negroid instead of African or whatever terminology they want to use. Why are they using Latin to determine what this person is? And then how is a Negroid an African? When the old racist white people, see, you always got to deal with who's telling the truth. The racists of the past are telling the truth more so with history than the people of today. The only thing that they're keeping real is, the 3/5 was human beings. Okay, that's cute. But back in the day, the white dude distinguished against Africans and Negroes. He distinguished it because he wouldn't allow Ali in. But the 2 Africans that were dressed up like Africans, not speaking English, they were allowed in with no problem. Why? Because the American Negro is not African. So what is he or they? And now does the Indian talk sound far-fetched, or the Aboriginal talk? Does it sound far-fetched now if we don't have people of today? The spellcasters, we're not dealing with them. We're dealing with somebody back in 1958. James Brown hasn't came out with that song. Civil rights is still going on. They allowed the Africans in. They didn't allow the American Negro in. Let's see something. Let me see something. Different stuff. Find your shit at the right. I'm not mad at the right.
Really interesting. For them, what an Indian was somebody who lived out in the forest, who lived maybe in a little teepee or a weetu someplace, who mainly lived by hunting or making baskets. And as he looked around at his neighbors at Hasmonisco, he saw them as barbers, stone workers, factory workers, shoemakers, and he said, well, these people aren't living the way I think Indians live, so therefore...
Look at that. Let's keep going. Shit don't exist.
Many senses they're described as...
Of what they For the longest, I'm Nipmuc. Everything. You know what I'm saying? We in the room, man. Big weight. No. Nah.
And why he decided to not any census, they're described as a person of color or a colored person. Same person, but the census taker, as part of the white dominant society, decides that this person is no longer Nipmuc. And why he decided to not.
Nah, for real though, y'all dead though. Let's go.
The time. You find a person described in the 1860 census as an Indian. In the 1870 census, they're described as a person of color or a colored person. Same person, but the census taker, as part of the white dominant society, decides that this person is no longer Nipmuc. And why he
This person is no longer Nipmuc.
Decided to not any census, they're described as a person of color or a colored person. Same person, but the census taker, as part of the white dominant society, decides that this person is no longer Nipmuc.
So, in the 1800s, they're turning people from Nipmuc Indians to coloreds or a person of color. It's in the 1800s. Get all the way to 1958. We got continental Africans being allowed inside white-only establishments. But when Muhammad Ali, an American Negro, tries to go in, they tell him no Negroes allowed. Then at the same time, Muhammad Ali overhears the white man talking to the doorman, telling him about the two Africans, saying, let them in, they're not Negroes. Why do you think they don't want to give you no money? Why do you think they don't want to tell your truth? Why do you think you can't get no business loans, but everybody else can? We're being played on our own land. We're being lied to on our own land. We're being destroyed on our own land. That's what it is. I've spoke about this before, but it concludes that Negroes are not Africans. It does not matter what anybody says out of their mouth. They can talk verbiage that they did not live. We have what do they call it? Primary source, because Ali is in the time and he's the one who it happened to. He bear witnessed it. So that means we have a primary source. We have evidence of this primary source because it's recorded. It's recorded live on footage. They'll never be able to erase it. We were just not supposed to watch this. We're not supposed to watch it the way that we're watching it, and we're not supposed to comprehend it the way that we're comprehending it. But the brother is telling us that he's seen two Africans allowed inside an establishment, and they were allowed in because they were not Negroes.
We couldn't eat in the restaurants in Louisville. We couldn't eat downtown. One day I saw two Africans go in with their robes and their turbans. They couldn't speak English. I heard the man say, let them in, they're not Negroes. Something's wrong.
He says something's wrong. He says something is wrong.
Go in with their robes and their turbans. They couldn't speak English. I heard the man say, let them in, they're not Negroes.
Something's wrong. Something's wrong because the way I've been raised all my life is dark-skinned people are Negroes, and people of color are Negroes, and there's white only and colored only and Negro only, and we're not allowed in their establishments. So he's telling you in his time, like, this is some real CIA conspiracy, FBI, UFO shit. If someone is there at the time of racism, when it's heavy and everything's going down and they're separated places, they're segregated places, and he's telling you, he's like, I seen a white dude allow two Africans in, and he told the doorman, they can come in, they're not Negroes. And then I try to go into the same place and they say, no, I can't come in. It's white only. Bruh, that's not a conspiracy. That's something that really happened. And like he said, something's wrong. Why is something wrong? Because obviously, excuse me, we're not Africans. He couldn't keep pushing that narrative and that story because he's an NOI Muslim and he's already stated this and nobody, took it to mind. People just brushed it off. But it's like, how can you brush that off? How can you brush off him telling you? If he's telling you something he saw, and it's the same thing that we're telling you today, we're telling you we're not African, we're not from Africa. And then you have somebody from the 50s going through it and showing you basically that, bro, we're not the same people. He even said it out of his own mouth. He said, something's wrong here. Something doesn't make any sense. Why were they allowed to go in if we're slaves from Africa, but they're Africans and they're allowed in? Something's not right. Something's not right. Something's not right with this history book story at all. We know there was African slave traders. We understand that. What we're saying is they keep saying darky, black, go back to Africa. Nobody wants you. But 2 Africans, they allow in. 2 continental Africans, they allow in. The American Negro, they won't allow in. So how's the American Negro from Africa then? They can't be. That alone, the racist white person is the one who's differentiating. They're the ones who are saying these motherfuckers can come in, but y'all can't. But supposedly y'all are the same people. Can't be. You can't be the same people. It's impossible. I've brought this up before. Many of people have brought it up before. But we need to bring it up again. Because instead of DNA tests and arguing about tribes and what you look like and lookership and all that different stuff, no. Let's just go to a primary source. Let's go to somebody who was there and what they're saying. They're saying something's not right. Something is wrong. What is wrong? Is it the story they told you? Is it wrong? It has to be. Then here's another weird thing. Why are they saying all the people on Earth are from this one continent called Africa, but their oldest human remains are like a monkey? This is what they give you. They give you a monkey. And the oldest bones in America is of a woman. Of Negro features. Even the oldest bones in the Americas is of Negro features. It's not that little girl that they found. I forgot her name, but she's only like 12,000 years old. No. Lucica is 50,000 years old. And it's Negro features. But Negroes aren't African. So clearly all that via Australia, via Africa stuff, that's false. That's made up stuff. That's what they're trying to say to clean it up because they don't want to claim this as the oldest land. But Nova Scotia is the first piece of land out of the water. Why did they not allow Muhammad Ali to eat in that establishment, but let the 2 Africans eat in there if we're Negroes supposedly kidnapped from Africa? And why did the white man distinguishedly tell his doorman, they're fine to go in, they're not Negroes? And then why did Ali have to sit there lost like something's wrong? He was mad at his championship medal and all that. He's talking about, this means nothing. But it's like, no. Don't get mad at the medal. You earned that. You did that. Be mad at the story they told you. Because you never been in whips and chains. You never had that story. The story is a story. It's a spell. They're not telling you about little white kids being sold as slaves. They're not telling you about all the stuff that happened right here in America. So many white kids were sold as slaves in Louisiana. It's ridiculous. The South. Why didn't they allow him in? if he's supposedly from Africa, but they allowed the two Africans in, but not the American Negro. And they told the doorman, the white man told the doorman, let them in because they're not Negroes. They're Africans. Don't ever let a Pan African lie to you when you have a primary source that was in that time telling you what he bear witness, what he went through and experienced. And for some reason, everybody dunked that out. Nobody brings that up. The only people that bring that up is the American Indians, the American Negroes, the Aborigines. We're the only people that bring that up. Nobody else is. Go.